Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
Today we're going to talk about the inefficiency of the M50 and why it's a broken system. In 2004, David McWilliams wrote an article. It was called "The Great Tall Bridge Ripoff." In that article, he compared it to the QWERTY keyboard and how inefficient the QWERTY keyboard was, and he compared that to how inefficient the M50 was. So the M50 at the moment is owned by is run by Abtran and Vinci Highways, the French road builder, and they have a contract which will probably be worth about 375 million over 15 years. It'll run to 2030. The M50 itself has 145,600 people per day travelling on it. Okay, if you look at the figures of the amount of people who came to live in Ireland in 2019, is 87,000 people moved to the country. So 28% of the population live in Dublin. So you could say that an extra 30,000 people are living in Dublin and possibly using the M50. And if that is to increase next year and the year after and the year after, we have an M50 that doesn't work, and that's why it took me 2.5 hours to go from exit 14, which is Blackrock, to exit 7, which is Lucan. I could have been in Cork in that time.
You could.
So the whole system doesn't work, and the government will have to build a new M50 if things are going to work.
They'll have to build a new road in some ways to sort of take some of the traffic from the business of the people that operate this M50. The amount of traffic on it is far too high for the road itself. And you can take it that that being the case, they would need another road to augment that road, rather than trying to widen it and again slow traffic down. Build a new road that will take some of the traffic that perhaps is going into the city more than anything else, and also build some kind of another outlet to go for the N7. That's the Limerick, Kerry, Cork exit from the M50, and that is the busiest section in the M50. And there's always tailbacks on that, and then it affects the whole lot.
Yeah.
So that they need another exit to take care of perhaps cars going for Limerick and cars going for Cork. There had to be some system that would deal with that. That's where a bottleneck occurs. Now the other thing is that if people are using commuter trains and they're often crowded, people even can't get a seat coming from the various like Arklow and Drogheda, Dundalk and places like that, and then even from the suburbs. But one place that badly needs a railway, and that was all the infrastructure was completed by the previous Fianna Fáil government when they left, and that is the train from Dublin to Navan. All the infrastructure was done. In other words, all that had to be done was to be implemented, and it was never implemented by this Fine Gael Labour government that came into operation in 2011. It is now 2020, so that means they're in 9 years. Since 2016, they're in with the support of Fianna Fáil, which is extraordinary that they've managed to be in power for so long without an election when they haven't got a majority. So hence, I think the business of Brexit in England was partly responsible for that state of affairs. But be that as it may, it's no way to run a country. And the fact of the matter, if Fianna Fáil are calling the shots because they're supporting them, they'd have right, if they had that in between their ears, to make sure that the train from Navan was going, because that would reduce substantially the amount of cars going from the computer belt in Navan in Meath and in Cavan, because a lot of those people are working in Dublin.
Yeah.
Now, so therefore, if there was the train, they would be using the train. So you provide parking facilities at reasonable rates, by the way, so as people can avail of that. So there would be a lot less cars on the M50 going, because I've had to go on the bloody M50, but I choose times that there's a good chance I'll be able to get through fairly handy, and I can, especially if I'm going down to Wexford where my sister lives. And I've driven down there, and I go down fairly sharp on that M50 on the outside lane. But if there's a bloody accident, because there's still a lot of cars, no matter what time you're driving, it can be a factor in slowing you down. But the beauty of going down to Wexford is that there's a dual carriageway, and the only place we have to charge. And funny enough, I don't pay at all because I go via the N4 down to Mullingar and come out and then I'm on the M50 and I'm straight away down to beyond Enniscorthy, practically nearly on Wexford. So they want to sort of examine the transport infrastructure from the suburbs, and which they've done from Wexford and Arklow and Gorey, because people commute from there and they can come into Dublin, so they have a chance. And the same with if they had to be using the motorways, then nobody could go anywhere. But to have the commuter trains, and certainly Navan would have been an important one, and I think they have a commuter train going regular from Mullingar as well. So everywhere except Navan, and yet we have 3 ministers in Meath, and they must be useless.
I'm amazed with the M50. Why didn't they put cycle lanes into it? When I say cycle lanes now, I mean tunnel type, cage type things. Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, if they were like, even if you had 2 lanes, maybe 25 feet wide all the way down on one side,
it would make good sense.
Yeah.
For cycles. Now, would motorcycles be allowed to go on that? No, I don't think so.
No. They go on them. They
could cause serious accidents, and they do.
Yeah.
So the best thing then is to have a cycle lane purely for people that are on cycles. What about these cycles now that have some kind of a little engine in them?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about the electric scooters and that.
Well, they're like a bicycle, but they have
a hybrid.
Yes. Would they be suitable?
Absolutely, 100%. But the thing about it is, look, I mean, what they could do, it'd be
That's
a small.
what they should do.
That's what they should do. A small extension on either side of the M50. Maybe put bicycle lanes on both sides, and I think it'd be a whole lot quicker.
They should be able to do that. That should be something that should actually be really enforced already.
Yeah.
It's not something that you should be waiting to do. It should have been done a long time ago. They have no foresight, as far as I'm concerned, or no proper planners. And yet they have planners that's paid vast sums of money. And, what are they planning when you think of it? Certainly a new road, if they had the possibility of being able to do it, without interfering with people's accommodation and all the rest of it, because a lot of people that bought houses suffered because of the amount of traffic, housing estates that's passing the M50 and roads leading off it past their houses. They haven't got the privacy and the silence that they would have liked. It's a permanent hum of traffic.
That's right.
You can't hear the birds singing. So this is something that one has to weigh up. So this toll bridge, when David McWilliams wrote about it, you had to stop and pay, and Mr. Pat Kenny was always giving out about it on his radio programmes, and I don't think he was travelling on it because he was living in Dalkey and working in RTE, so I don't know what he was on about it. He doesn't go down the country. But in any event, he was on about it, and now it's toll free, it's automatic. So that's supposed to speed up traffic, but if there's too much traffic on the road, well then you're back to square one. Yeah. Irrespective of if you don't have to be stopping at any toll to pay, it's already deducted by your credit card or something like that when I've that facility as well, and so I don't have to worry about it. But I think it's fair to say, and you had the experience of 2.5 hours to try and travel only a few miles. To get onto the Lucan Road to bypass, and I'm saying categorically that the planners before now should have already anticipated the way things were going, make sure that there was trains going from whatever area where that was contributing to it, and Navan is a perfect example. As a matter of fact, they had one coming from Kingscourt, which they closed, which the goods people in Kingscourt, there's a lot of important factories, and up to a few years it was going, and it was closed. And I'll give you another little story. My sister lives in Rosslare, County Wexford, and she was able to go to Cork on the train from Wexford or from Rosslare because they could change at Waterford. But that was closed some years ago. And guess who was closed by?
Who?
Mr. Varicker, when he was Minister for Transport. That's an example of the sort of stupidity that man has indulged in, even from that time, even when he was Minister for Health.
I think, look, what you need, the leader of a country should be like Albert Reynolds, right? He should be a former business person.
Correct.
Not a doctor that thought he was a doctor. Leo Varadkar apparently wasn't even a good doctor, I heard. But the thing is, like, and Enda Kenny was a teacher. This is ridiculous. What you need running the country.
And Martin, a Fianna Fáil teacher, and there's a hell of a lot of teachers and people that are solicitors or something like that.
Exactly.
That's not a job that you know the cut and thrust of what business is like.
Yeah.
I've been in business all my life. I know exactly what it's like. That there's ups and downs and all the rest of it. And but if you're operating in a country that has such peculiar policies, that's not conducive to be operating in the food business, because if you wind up in a small country of this nature with a monopoly situation in the food trade, like grocery monopolies, well then your products are not going to be able to be listed unless you're paying exorbitant discounts to these stores.
Yeah.
So therefore they've all closed.
Okay.
That's an example of it. And the same way with no matter what you look at, when you look at the roads, they should be doing everything to minimise the amount of traffic on the M50.
Yeah, I think.
And in the meantime, build another kind of a road that would take off the traffic, but particularly a second sort of a road, or some road that where you go off the exit 7, which is the Limerick, Cork, and that is the worst, and that contributes actually to the tailback, I think, in the M50 also.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, exit 7, if you go to exit 7, you don't pay the toll.
No, but I mean, it's the amount of traffic that's going on that road. It is far too high for one exit.
Oh, all right, I get you now. Yeah.
I go on the N4, which is beyond it, and it just, doesn't be quarter the problem. You do have traffic on it, but you can move. But going on to the N7 from nearly at any time, it's just a bit of a nightmare.
So maybe the solution, or part of the solution then, is to look at different junctions and so you see
well,
where...
look at that junction number 1 and do something to sort of make it that it's not so congested as it is, which leads, I think, to the tailbacks in the M50. I think I know that for a fact.
Okay. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver.